How's everybody? Welcome to Anything Liverpool live podcast. Um, I'm joined with Connor and Ben today, and we've got some big topics we're going to talk about. We've got a lot to cram in this live stream. I'm sure we'll have a lot of varying, differing views. So before we start, for those of you joining us live, please like and subscribe. Put notifications on, so you'll never miss a show. I've got a feeling this one's going to be a real good one today. I think we're going to have a lot of passionate views. So let's have a look. We're waiting for one of our colleagues, who is Carl, all the way from the States. Carl, can you hear us? Right, we're having a few difficulties with Carl at the moment, but we'll start. So we're going to be looking at Chelsea match, bit of a preview. We're going to look at what we think the likely lineups will be. What kind of match is it a must win? And what are Chelsea's strengths and weaknesses? And then we're going to look a bit about ourselves. How do we feel? Because obviously it's with social media and obviously ourselves, even within our own group chat, it's had differing views from absolutely falling off the edge of a cliff through to calm and relaxed and I'm not worried. So I want to have a take of Ben's, Connor's, and obviously Carl's view and what they feel like. What is it? Where are you from a mindset? What worries you, if anything, about the performances? What are the pluses? What are the good things? And then we'll get on to the match predictions. I think when we get in the section, I want to fit in some of Slot's comments on the pre-match interviews he's had as well. So his press conferences. So we'll touch on that. But okay, so we'll go for the Chelsea preview. I'm going to hand over to you, Connor, first. So I want you to talk a bit about. Firstly, I want your opinion on this. Is this a must-win match? What are your thoughts?
100% for me, it's a performance match because I know in the past we'll all say it, like we look at the Burnley game. I didn't think we played very well against Burnley, but we got a lucky penalty at the end, take away to 3 points. So a lot of people were going to say like, oh, it's all about the 3 points. We got the 3 points. We got across the line. It's all well and good when you have these odd bad days throughout the season. But for me, it kind of feels like we're pulling in like preseason performances and just nicking the points. So if we get a point against Chelsea, but we play the best we've played all season, I'm going to be more happy than if we get a lucky penalty in the 94th minute again and win 1-0. Because you never know if we're going to go and play another midweek game and it's those must-win games. Then we end up with a draw. So this game with Chelsea, if they come out the block strong, but we meet them halfway and we really put in a performance, but come away with a point, I'm going to be happy for that, as opposed to playing terribly and getting a lucky 3 points. I'll be honest.
Okay, I'll go to you, Ben, with the same question. Where's your mind at from a perspective of what does this match mean? Where are we? Is it a must win? Is it a don't lose? What does this signify, especially before the international break as well? What are your thoughts?
Every game against Chelsea is a must-win, to be fair.
Yeah.
And going into international break with 3 points, it's good for morale. It's good for hopefully to keep momentum because we play United after international break. So you want to go into that with as many points as possible. That game's unpredictable. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the key thing is for me, and I have to tend to agree. I think it's one of those where we have to win. When I say we have to win, I think we have. Up until about 2 weeks ago, we were unbeatable. Regardless of how we were playing, I think we have to sort of. I remember when we won the title. We clocked the first time we went there 1-2-1. Absolutely stellar performance, and I think we have to go and do a bit of a performance and a win. And I think it's going to be a nervous match, I feel, because Chelsea themselves are. I think they're under pressure a bit because they've won 2, lost 2, drawn 2. and they weren't very good in weekdays. So yeah, I think that. So what we'll do, we'll go on to the lineup. So John Summers has asked us a question. Hi guys, thoughts on midfield options for Chelsea game? Who would you guys start? So before we go into the midfield, I'll go to you, Ben. Start with you this time. So let's look at the defense first. We'll get on to John's question about the midfield. Who would you have in defense? Because obviously this will answer a lot of questions about who would have in midfield. But obviously the goalies, we know who the goalie is. Who's your four starters in defense?
Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk, Robertson.
Who's that? Sorry, who's your right back, Ben?
Bradley.
Bradley. Okay, why is that? Why have you gone for that? For
I just think he does well in the big games.
yeah, tried and tested.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Connor? What are your thoughts on that? And your back four, and just elaborate a bit more why you'd pick those as well.
Same. Van Dijk, Konate at the back, Bradley on the right if he's fit, 100%. But I'd put Kirkers on the left.
Okay.
I think he's proven himself a little bit. For me, Robertson would be the safe choice. But I think even these games where we've not played well, I think Kirkus has been one of those that you could say he's still had a really decent game, and he's not really made many faults. He could still improve. But I think he's still been one of those rare one or two players that you could say he's had a solid 90 still.
Yeah, I think we have to go back to. I tend to agree a bit with Ben on this. I think we have to go back to what gave us the success, almost back to that foundation last year. And I think Van Dijk, Konate, and I think that picks itself because we haven't got anybody else at the moment, to be honest. I think at right back, I agree with Bradley. I'm not too enamoured with Bradley at the moment because I think he's looked patchy. But against Chelsea, I would play him rather than
Frimpong.
Frimpong. On the left, in my mind, it was Robertson, but I tend to agree with you. I'd play Kirkes, but I think he's going to play Robertson. I do because I think Kirkes had the full 90 minutes, didn't he? Against in the midweek, I think he did. I'm not sure, but I would start with Kirkes, but I think he's going to play Robertson. And I think the thing with Chelsea is I think the key thing that I think from their perspective is, and I want to get your sort of thing about them as well, is that they've not got anybody who's going to go in behind. Yeah, they've got Pedro. They ain't got anybody who's going to put themselves about a bit. He drops deep. He's not very pacey, Pedro. He likes a bit of, he brings players in. They haven't really got anything, I feel, in my mind at the moment with their team that's going to hurt us. I think we've been troubled physically with power and pace. So I feel from that perspective, I think Chelsea are a bit light. What are your thoughts on that, Connor? What do you think from their perspective? How do you see them hurting us from a defensive point of view?
I think you've hit it on the nail there. Where I don't think their forward men and wingers are those that will run in behind and those balls will come through. They're face-up one-on-one players, and even though Robertson, like you say, they probably might start him for the experience side for a 90-minute game, being faced up one-on-one with with Neto, or if they use Garnacho on the right or anyone. I don't think he can. I don't think he can compete with them for a 90-minute game. Whereas Kirkers, I think even if they shift it quickly and try and get past him, he can get back in so much quicker and use his power in those one-to-one situations. And that's where also I would like Conor Bradley, because he's more defensively sound than like Frimpong. Even though Szoboszlai has been great on that right side when he's filled in, I think we've really missed him in midfield in terms of power and tenacity as opposed to ability. It's that power in midfield that we need to keep him there. So that's basically where I think they will try and hurt us. But if we put the right people there and set up correctly, I think that we can nullify that easily.
Okay. So, Ben, I'm going to go over to you here. So, Sanch has asked us a question. He's asked us Gomez over Canate tomorrow. I've got my opinions on that. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
No. I don't think Gomez deserves to start right now. He's not played well this season so far. And
Yeah.
It's a big game. We need to win. You need to stick with what works. And he might not have played well midweek or on last weekend, but he's still our second best centre back, easily.
Yeah. I think the problem we've got there is, and I agree with you on that, is that I don't think, and we've only got a small sample size. I think Gomez is one of those that takes a few games to get up to speed.
Like
So
Costas.
yeah, exactly. Yes, and that's not ideal for a backup. And I think the Southampton game doesn't fill me with any confidence. He was very, very shaky. So yeah, so that's good. Okay, so I think the big question is we're going to move on to onto the midfield. So I'm gonna go over to you, Connor, on this. Sanj Singh, he's come in and he's sort of said he would have Soboslai, Maka, and Gravenberch in the midfield, or Frank Rijkaard, as I like to call him. What's your thoughts on the midfield? Who would you start and why?
I think I think I would agree in this circumstance, just for safety. And I know that like you lose a bit of creativity, and a lot of people have been on Verts a lot, like in the sense of like he hasn't scored or assisted yet. He is really good at finding those little pockets. But I think if we're gonna balance our risk and reward, and we've mentioned before, like should we go back to last season, what gave us a lot of success? If we're gonna, let's just say for argument's sake, we do put a bit of trust in Kirkes on the left, and if we are like, hopefully we do start Ekatike up top, or it will end up being Isak, then I think we do need that stability of those three in midfield. And if the game comes our way, then we bring on that creativity to really kill it. So for me, 100% like Gravenberg, McAllister, and Dom in midfield. I think it did give us a great balance last season.
Okay, Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
I'd play Jones, Gravenberch, Jones, Soboslai.
So obviously, why is that?
I think Jones gives you extra running power. I think he can keep the ball. When he wants to, he doesn't know how to pass the ball forward. He just has problems with his timing.
Yeah.
Which can be hit or miss. But I want to see Verts left wing in this game so I always like a left hand kind of thing. I want to see Verts there.
Okay, so in my mind, I think they all made good points, and I'm a bit torn on this. I think in my mind, I looked at who I'd pick, and I think both of you are totally right. I think from a running power point of view, I think Soboslai Dom is a shoo-in, has to play. Yeah. And I think Gravenberch, again, first name on the team sheet in the midfield. And I'm really torn, and I agree with you about Curtis Jones. But I just feel that Macca's just going to, he's showing glimpses of it.
He's got that magic.
Yeah, and he's showing glimpses of last season. And I think for me, it's got to be a fitness issue. It has to be, because he had time off at the end of last season. He's had time off in pre-season, and he's had a bit of time. And I think it's got to be match sharpness. And the only way you're going to get match sharpness is by playing. And I think I was torn, but then I'm actually going to say Curtis Jones, because if you look at it, he's got a great record against Chelsea. Actually, Curtis Jones, he plays well. He scored goals against them, and I think their midfield is their strength. Yeah, especially with even though I don't like him, Enzo Fernandez, and then you got Salcido. I think you're gonna need that bit of physicality, that bit of tenacity, and I think Jones and Soboslai gives you that. And I think, from a starting point of view, that's who I'd go with. But to be honest, if it's Maka and he plays like Maka, I ain't got an issue with that. Okay, so I'm going to stick with you, Ben, and I want you to give, even though you you touched on it. Who would your front three, or is it a 4-3-3 for you, Ben? Is it a standard 4-3-3 that he plays, or the 4-2-3-1 type? Is
Four,
that,
four,
yeah,
two, three, one. Yeah.
yeah. So who's your sort of three attacking players?
Thirds, Soboslai in the 10. Salah, obviously. Isaac.
Isaac. Okay. So what's your thinking on Wirtz on the left? Why is that?
I think he can link up with Kirkus better and play to Kirkus' strengths, which is running down the left wing, overlapping, crossing,
Yeah.
which Gakpo hasn't done properly this
Yeah.
season. You can
Yeah.
see that. He
Okay.
doesn't know how to pass to it.
Okay. Connor, what your thoughts? What your three in front of that midfield? What's your three, Connor? Where's your mind at? What do you think?
It depends on fitness. I know that they've touched upon the fitness updates.
Yeah.
But if I had to, I'd prefer Ekatike up top, just because I feel like he's been so much sharper. But I don't believe he's able to start. I believe it will be Isak, Mo on the right, and then I do like Gakpo on the left. I do feel like, and we touched upon it earlier, is that the reason why he's not been as effective so far this season, I think, is because I just feel like there's such a disconnection between the fullbacks and the wingers at the moment. They're either real close or they're so far apart, and I think that's where we've kind of missed Robertson's inverted runs and overlaps continuously, because I think he did it at the start of the season out of being fearless, but I think Slot sort of brought him in a bit, and that stopped him from making them like legless runs round the back or inverted. So I think it's not a personnel problem. I think it's more of a communication system problem there. And I think whether it is Wirtz or Gakpo over there, or even if we ended up playing Jones off the left, I think if we had that fearless attacking overlapping with a bit of stability, I think we'll be more effective there in those positions.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good point, and that's the thing, the left hand side, and I think since Luis Diaz has gone, I think Gakpo hasn't been able to nail it down as his position, and I think in my mind, I'm looking at this and thinking, in my mind, I think we need to play Wirtz. We have to play Wirtz. This is the kind of games. People say it's for the low block and it's for the teams that do the low block, all that kind of stuff. I think in my mind, these are the games. Do you know what I mean? The big, your rivals away from home. We've got to play Wirtz, and in my mind, I had Salah, Gakpo, and Isak. I think, yeah, it will be Wirtz on the left, but I think he'll play off the left. He won't play like the box midfield type rubbish they played at Palace. Yeah, I think I think because he's naturally right-footed, yeah, he'll allow that overlap that Ben's talking about. So, and I think, yeah, he gives us that creativity. I would play let. I actually think because there was comments on Isak by Slot in the press conference that you're not going to see the best of him for judge him in a couple of months. So if it's right that Ekatike has only got cramp, yeah, I think he may start him. I don't think he'll start Isak, yeah. But on all fitness, everything plays. I would have Salah, Ekatike, and Wirtz. And then obviously we've got options off the bench. So yeah, that's good. So more or less we understand where that's coming from. Just for everybody again, before we go on to the next topic, which should get a bit let's see, a bit spicy. But please, if you're watching, like and subscribe. Tell all your friends, everybody. There's no better way of spending a Friday evening than watching us rabbit on about Liverpool. Okay, so like and subscribe, and put any questions you've got in the chat as well. We're happy to answer any of your questions as well. So we're going to go on to worried or relaxed. I think people say, I don't care what fan base you are, unless you're Man United because you're shite and everything's bad for them anyway. But it's either DEFCON 5 or we're going to win everything. So I'm going to go to you on this, Connor, first. We were talking about it in our green room. Yeah. I want you to talk a bit about where's your mind at? Are you worried? Are you relaxed? Or are you somewhere in between? And I just want you to sort of look about, obviously, the performances aren't what we want them to be. Do you think it's a bit of an individual thing or tactical? So, in your mind, where are you from a mindset point of view, and what do you think the little problem is? Is it tactical or personal?
Um, I think 100% that it's just a situation of where you've bought so many players, and to be honest, I think half of all Liverpool fans called it in pre-season. We're either going to start the season flying, or we're going to have so many teething problems because you can't buy these many players. And they're not players to sit on the bench; they're players to be playing 90 minutes. If you can't buy that many players and for it to work straight away. So even though during the matches, and I think we were all the same, like during the matches, we're like throwing the remotes, like clop out, and that all that slot out and all that sort of thing. Like we've got to just give them a bit of time because at the end of the day, from my point of view, the performances haven't always reflected the points that we've got so far this season. We have got a bit lucky in my eyes, quite a bit lucky. But if we can get through this period and then slowly, like say we've got another international break, if we can come back from that after getting 3 points here that we actually really deserve, that morale going into after preseason, after international break, I think is going to make a real difference. And if we can pull out these 3 points when we can clearly not playing well, then I that's what gives me a bit more belief is the fact that if we can only do better, then we could get halfway through the season where we're just blowing teams away. Because that's what wins leagues is when you're playing terrible and you're still banking in them points. So if we can do that now, then later on in the season we're going to fly.
Same over to you, Ben. Where's your mind at, and what do you think the slight issues are? Is it individuals? Is it tactics? What is it?
I think it's both. I think
Okay.
certain players just aren't performing. That's obvious, but there's clear problems with the system that Slot should improve on. That defensively, I think Gravenberg, he needs to play deeper instead of getting forward so often. I'd like to see that more. We need to get Kirkes forward more often because that's his quality. He's an attacking fullback. And need to get Salah more involved. We got Salah involved loads last season, and well, look at what he did. He nearly could have won us a treble. Maybe didn't fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm calm regarding the season because it's a long season. There's still many games, and we can only get better.
Yeah.
And it can't be like you can talk about the players or the tactics, but you can't underestimate how the players are feeling. I mean, we all know what happened in the summer with Jota, and that's not just something you can just move on from.
So that Ben, you put some really good points up there. Both of you spoke, proper Liverpool fans. Like I said too, you're right, and I think the Jota thing as well. I think for me, it's some of the individuals are slightly off it, and I think we've had a bit of a disjointed pre-season with injuries and whatnot, and the signings and the Isak saga, and it was like I read something somewhere that why isn't he already here, etc., etc. I think that sort of drags on as well, doesn't it? And I think the Jota one, my old mate Craig Allred sort of said on one of the previous pods, he said let's not underestimate the impact of Jota. And I think um, it could have been Daniel Sturridge who mentioned it on in the midweek. It could have been, but they talked about how does that? No, sorry, actually, it was Kran Seedorf who sort of says. So obviously, he's got links into the with the Dutch players. He said, you know, new players adjusting, and they lost somebody very dear and close to them. So I think, oh no, but I think the performances haven't passed the eye test. I think he's looking at a different way to play, and that's obvious. It reminds me a bit. I don't know if you guys remember when our good friend, the new Pep's little sidekick now, when he sort of decided when he took a bit more into the tactical side, and he it was sort of him sort of working club making Trent a bit more inverted, and we sort of changed Salah's role. He had a great season, and he stuck him far out on the wing, very isolated, and he just wasn't involved. It almost feels like Salah's out there to allow the space for the inverted fullback, and there's a space he's allowing. But the problem we've got is that nobody's occupying that space. As I was saying to yourself, kind of when we were playing Palace, and even in instances against Galatasaray, Salah had the ball on the touchline, and there was nobody within 10 yards of him. It was like just Galatasaray players, and you think there's one thing Salah isn't. He isn't going to be. He's not now. He's not a Messi who's just going to dribble past. Not anymore now. So yeah, I think there's slight tweaks. Slot alluded to it in his press conference. I don't know if you guys have listened to any of that. When he talked about teams are playing differently since the turn of the year. There he goes. Klopp gave me a great present where he handed me a really good team, but people felt it was an opportunity when I came in. New manager, new league for me, and we're going to have a go at Liverpool. And that helped us because we just picked them off. And I felt that's what we did. Then he said at the turn of the season, because he was so far ahead, teams sat deeper and it became a different type. So he goes, we've been sort of adjusting from then. So I think that's what the summer buys are about as well. And he also said, so I want to ask you a question on this, both of you. I'll come to you first on this, Ben. He said we need to learn how to we need to think about defending in a different way. What do you think that means? What do you think he's talking about there, Ben?
Set pieces. We can't
Yeah.
defend set pieces whatsoever. I mean, most of the XG we concede, most of the goals we concede, it's all from set pieces mainly, or counter attacks from our set pieces, which we can't do. We can't attack them. We can't defend them.
So I'm gonna give a little stat to you, Connor, and I haven't got the exact one. And in fact, I'm just gonna look for it. So looking down my phone, I'm not being facetious. And again, these are one of those stats you get off people. So it was something here. So this was past the last three games. So when I'm talking about um, defending a different way, so I'm just going to throw these stats and you think what does this mean? So we've got here are our ground duels won recently. Okay, so versus Galatasaray, 29 out of 74. That's 39%. Crystal Palace, 23 out of 59. That's 39%. And against Everton, 37 out of 78. That's 47%. So and I understand we were in the mid to high 60s last year. So what do you think the reason for that? Do you think that's playing a big part in some of I think it's more some of the situations we find ourselves in and the vulnerability. Do you think that's playing a part? And what do you think? What do you think that is? What in your mind? What do you think's causing that?
I think it could be a system of formation, but the first thing that is clear to me is that like when you're watching games and you do feel like it's a very lackluster, not 100% effort like what we've seen in the past. Your statistics have literally just backed it up, basically. That maybe just other teams want it a bit more, and where the ball is available to win in the middle is where they've got it. And I think a good reflection of that is against Palace. I think the game against Palace, it just looked like they were faster, stronger, taller, like everywhere. Like so, I think that those statistics just show that like you can be ability wise such a great footballer, but if you're not sharp enough or want it enough, then you lose games basically. And I think for the people that say that, and you said Slots mentioned it about the defending differently, putting in a mid or low block. Like I've watched these games with like so closely. Like when you're on the edge of your seat, you end up locking in, and there's been so much space on the turnover to play a ball in, and it's just not gone. And then they've managed to get in and close it down, and then they get into a mid block. Us passing it around amongst the centre backs and Gravenberg in between those little pockets at the halfway line, it does work sometimes, and the gaps are there. The ball just does not go, and I think that's where, and then we lose it, and then we turn over, and then concede a goal. So you can't say it's low block, mid block when we're conceding goals from those teams doing those low blocks. Park the bus. We're conceding 2-3 goals against these teams, so it's not that.
So that's I think I agree with that, and I'm going to sort of go on to that duels, and I think it's good you put the Palace matchup. It's a comment that Slot made, and he didn't. People are sort of gone over social media who they think the person is when he said we conceded a goal in the last minute where one of the players decided to run forward on the break when there was no time left, and he should have stayed back. Now, the favourite, what he's pointed to is Frimpong, and then people saying Gakpo as well. But I think the key thing here is on those deals, and I was looking at it a bit more, we're not winning the second balls. If you look at all the goals we conceded from set pieces, we're actually winning the first ball. Yeah? So you look at the 2 set pieces or crosses, Endo against Southampton, Gravenbach against, against Palace, yeah. Then we even look at Kirkes against Newcastle, the second ball in after we cleared the corner, the second ball in. And it just feels like we're switching off, and it's almost like we've done our job, we've done it. Whereas I thought last season, I actually don't think we're playing any different other than last season we'd get the second ball and bang, we're out, we're gone. And the other thing as well is I think when we're attacking, I've got no confidence that we're going to play the right ball. And I think it's just that, and I think it was yourself, Ben, that said you'd like Gravenbach to stay a bit. And Gravenbach, he came out after the Everton match, if you look at his interview, where he said we're allowed to be a bit more interchangeable. And the fact that he scored more goals shows that. And it's like he's as important to me as Fabinho was in his peak. If Gravenbach empties that area, I think we're in trouble because he isn't the fastest. He hasn't got the best recovery pace. He's just got those long legs, and he's very astute. He reads the game. So yeah, I agree with you guys on that. And I think probably tomorrow it's about getting grip of that midfield, winning that midfield battle, and moving forward. So before we go into predictions, a bit more, I just want a bit. So we're not downbeat. I think we're pretty positive. No. Realistic. I want you to talk about a bit of the pluses that you've had so far. What sort of rocked your boat? Connor, I'll go to you first on this. What sort of tickled your fancy about Liverpool this season?
Pretty much. I think I'd love to. Chiesa has shown glimpses, but I don't want to put him on a pedestal because I believe that he's probably just as good as he was last season. But because our levels are lower, and his work rate and his tenacity is there, the aspect that we always knew he had is the aspect that we haven't seen enough of everyone else. So it's elevated him even more. So I'll give him his props, and for me, it is a highlight that hopefully if he improves, then he will become the player that we hoped he would be. But that is a small plus for me. The other one is I do think that Hugo has gelled in with the team a lot quicker than what I thought. And I'm not saying it just because he's got a couple of goals here and there, but he always wants to be involved. He will he will drop in, he will shift across, with a purpose, knowing that a space has been left. And I think it was the goal against Leicester, which was I think it was against Leicester, where he's dropped in, he's done a 1-2, he's turned, it's come back to him, and then he's
I
found the space and
think
he's gone through
was
and
that
scored, and
Bournemouth
he's got the.
when he
In the
came
end,
short.
it's
It was Bournemouth the first game where he came short. But,
the first. Sorry, yeah,
no,
sorry.
okay.
So this is for me is a bit exciting. The only downside to that is why is he coming short, done a 1-2, and then he's the next person to receive the ball again? It's a lot on one player. Like you would expect if he's coming in short and he's played a 1-2 and released the space, that you've got Salah running in that space, or you've got Gakpo running in behind into that space. So these are two tiny little things where I've gone, oh, you know what? It's a bit different and I like it, but I want to see more of it. And I've really not seen enough of it to say that like it's a normal system thing that, Slotter's put in place.
What about yourself, Ben? What's the sort of pluses and what's sort of what's the positive so far for you from an individual or anything else from a Liverpool perspective?
I mean, obviously, Ekitike, he's settled in well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Players from the Bundesliga normally, I said this on Tuesday, they don't normally do well in the Premier League, but he's shut that narrative down quickly, which is good. I've liked Jones this season a lot, to be fair. I think what he's done when he's come on and started, he's been good. And whilst also being a good thing, it's also a bad thing. Leone, I liked his game versus Southampton before he done his ACL, which was sad. Mamadashvili as well. He's big 6 weeks for him, speaking of.
Yeah, that's we'll touch on that a little bit when we go to the predictions. I think so for me the most fascinating player, obviously Isak was, we can't really judge him like Klopp said. I think it was obviously Wirtz for me. And I think the price tag has sort of blurred. And if you look at Wirtz I remember watching him live against when Leverkusen came to town and we beat him 4-0 or 4-1, I think it was. I can't remember. 4-1, yeah. He wasn't that. Him and Frimpong weren't that impressive that day, to be honest. Frimpong played right wing. He didn't play right back. But if you look at it from a Leverkusen point of view, he isn't explosive in a sense that he's always, there. Do you know what I mean? He's not dictated. He's always for Leverkusen. He's just been the big game there. Do you know? It's the little short pass here, the goal at the there. And I just think he just comes alive when he needs to come alive. Yeah. So I think he's getting used to the physicality, 100%, and the pace. Yeah. And there's a stat that came up today that he has the joint most chances created in the Premier League. I think is it with Jack Grealish? 21 big chances, yeah? What big chance? What chances? Not big chance. So that for me, it's like, okay, so he is doing the things I want him to do. So I actually is a bit of a plus because I think he's shown things of him. I think Ekitike, totally agree with all of you. I think he's been great. I think I didn't know too much about Ekitike. Well, I didn't think Ekitike was going to be that player. And I think the other thing that's really the plus for me is I just feel like the whole club, and I think we're all really reactionary after matches, just under support. I think we feel like we are, I think, beginning to feel like, we are Liverpool, and yeah, we're going to win this league. It just feels like we feel like a big super club, and I think people can't. I remember in the '90s sitting there hating Man United, hating them, yeah, because they would just, sometimes you watch, oh, lucky United. They never, people watching them. I used to watch United games because I wanted them to lose. They used to get sometimes through 15 minutes in a match and they win a match. The fact that everybody hates us. Their heads are all on a wobble. We won 5 out of 5. Everybody hates Liverpool at the moment. and I think good. I like that because, like I said, we go back to the Chelsea, back to the. I think we welcome good. We have the voice of reason. We're going to call him out, Stephen. He just he flashes all the stats and everything on the group chat and calms all hot heads down. But yeah, I think we welcome good. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the score predictions, the scorers, and then I want you to also tell me what you're looking for from a performance as well. So I hate this bit because I never bet on Liverpool. I never predict the scores. I just hate it, but we're gonna have to do it. But over to you, Ben. So I'll go with you, Ben, first. What's the score predictions? Who are the scorers? And what do you want to see from Liverpool?
I just want to see a comfortable performance. I want to control the game, create some good chances, not puff and puff. Deal with set pieces, but Chelsea aren't really good at those. But yeah, I just want a comfortable 2-3-0 win.
So who do you think will so what do you actually think the score is going to be, and who the scorers are going to be?
I think it'll be 2-0 Liverpool. I think Salah scores one. I think Van Dijk maybe.
Okay, right. That's a nice. I'd love that to happen. Connor, your thoughts, score predictions, scorers, and what do you want to see from the match on Saturday?
I think I'll echo the control in the game, and really, like you say, winning them second balls. If they resulted to playing the long one, and you see Van Dijk get up, get the ball down, I want it to go into that midfield and then really play from there and then turn the ball over. Predictions, I'm going with a 2-0 as well. And I'm going for the scorers being Salah and Isak. Yeah, 2-0, it's Salah and Isak. And yeah, just real control and power in that midfield.
Okay, so there's a bit I don't like, but I think it's going to be 3-1 Liverpool. I think Salah will score. Yeah. I actually think I'm gonna put my neck out and say I think Wirtz will score his first goal for Liverpool. Yeah. And I think Salah will get 2, and I think Wirtz will score. Okay. And I think for them, I think it will be someone like Neto or Pedro from a corner, a set piece. But performance-wise, I think there's an opportunity here a bit because, like I said, they've got no centre backs, injuries and bans. Their midfield is their strength. They haven't got really any rocket pace behind us. I think I want to look for a bit of a fight. I'm looking for. I want us to show that to win that battle. Yeah, I want it to be a tough first 30 minutes. I want us to be stuck in. Yeah, because I don't think we've done that this season. I don't think we've really got stuck in, and we've got little niggly yellow cards. We haven't really gone and smashed somebody. Do you know what I mean? And I want to have that, and then I want to see what Ben said, a bit of control. I don't care about going all out. A bit of control, a bit of holding them off at arm's length, so to speak. A bit like what Man City used to do when they used to go to like Chelsea and Arsenal, and even us sometimes, even though they never had a good record at Anfield. But that bit, and I think that's what I'll be looking for. So either way, I think it'll be a great match. But yeah, so on that, hope everybody enjoyed the show. Like I said, please like and subscribe, and check out our other social media handles as well. Connor, Ben, it's been a pleasure. Great show. Up the Reds, and hopefully we'll have a smashing win before the